my name is Julie Burgundy, and I'm the Public Education Coordinator at the Dole Institute of Politics in Lawrence, Kansas. And I'm glad you guys are here today with me as part of this Discover with Dole session. And today we're going to be talking about photographs. And I'm going to pull you up on the screen here. So if you do have any questions or comments, we can ask in the chat box on Facebook Live today. But just a quick recap. The Dole Institute is a beautiful building that looks like this. And last week, as we researched what an archive is and talked about the American flag, you observed our beautiful American flag stained glass window here. And we are named after Senator Robert J. Dole. And here's a photograph of him, actually. And we're going to be learning all about photographs today. So here's a picture of him in case you haven't seen him before. And then also a beautiful picture of our stained glass window. And we learned last week that it has over 900 pieces and is over 29 feet tall. And when the Dole Institute does reopen, we definitely want you to come check it out as it also reflects into the floor. So we're talking about what an archive is, and today we're going to be discussing photographs. And today I have a picture of my family in a photograph. And what can you learn about me from this picture? You can see that I'm right here, and I have a mom and a dad and a sister and a brother-in-law, and their two kids are my niece and nephew. Now, this is just a standard studio picture that you may have in your own house right now, and it also shows us that people who love us and want to take care of us. Now, today we're going to be looking at some photographs that are not studio pictures. They're kind of live pictures in the moment, and we're going to see if we can figure out all the clues from these photographs. So today we're going to become history detectives. Are you guys ready for that? Sounds good. And so a recap of what an archive is. Well, I am here in the archive right now. And remember, an archive is where we want to keep it all together and keep it safe for a really, really long time. And so we have all us in our Doles, papers and memos and photographs and objects. And we keep them all in these boxes, just like here. And so we have over 25,000 photographs that we're going to go take a look at pretty soon. And so if you were to create your own archive, like you right now, what do you think you would put in it? I know a few people, one kid last video said that we could put our handprints in it to show how big we get. So imagine if you were to take your handprint now when you're in kindergarten and then write another handprint in first grade, second grade, and third grade. That's a good idea. We could also put our most favorite art projects in there and maybe some sports trophies or medals. Should we also put some photos in there too? Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So we're going to be looking, I'm going to give you guys a little behind the scenes tour here. We're going to go look at those photos. So imagine if you were to keep all of your photos from when you're in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, all the way through high school. Do you think you'd have a pretty awesome archive? Oh yeah. Because we have Senator Dole's materials from 1960 all the way through 1996. So we're going to have a lot of stuff in here. Come on, let me show you around. I'm going to switch you here. And as we walk around, we're going to go down one aisle and another one because we want to find the photograph aisle. So if we look up here on this list, do you see word photograph at the bottom there? It says we have box 1 to 173. Wow, that's a lot of boxes. So let's travel down this aisle. And I want to find a certain sticker label that says photograph. So these say speeches. They're not there yet. Keep walking. Oh, what picture's on these labels? Ooh, we got a camera. So this means we're here. This is the Robert J. Dole photograph collection. And it's from box one, all the way through 173. And they are numerical. So we have box 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Do you think we're going to count all the way up to 173? Maybe not, but I want to see how far you can count. Can you count to 173? That's pretty awesome. So all of these are stored here and on these shelves, and they're all in the same sort of boxes. These boxes are called acid-free boxes, and they're also in acid-free folders. So that means if there's any pen marks or markers, we want all of those to not transfer or stain any other pages. So we want, and also any acidification that could happen. But I also pulled a certain box here that I want us to take a look at. And so here we can read the label again. There's that picture of the camera. It says Robert J. Dole Photograph Collection. What box number is this? Can you read that? Box 35. So we know that this was in the 35th spot on that shelf over there. And you can also see this orange tag. This is the pull slip that we use to show that I took that box off the shelf and I'm putting it on this table. So we keep everything organized because we love to be organized here. And so inside this box are different folders. And let's take a quick look. So we have Queen Elizabeth II visits the Capitol. That seems pretty interesting. We also have different dignitaries and people from other countries. Ooh, there's Nelson Mandela. We also have Pope John Paul II. Those seem like super interesting photographs. Now let's take a look at the Queen Elizabeth box. I'm going to put this out on the table here. And we open it up. And here, first we find a letter that says, I thought that you'd like to have these photographs taken on the occasion of the recent visit to the Capitol of the Queen of England. Cordially, George M. White, who is the architect of the Capitol. So let's find out what these photographs have. Ooh, so here we have Senator Dole meeting Queen Elizabeth. And this is in the Capitol. And did we learn where the capital of the United States is? What city it's in? It is in Washington, D.C. And here is Prince Andrew. So we could look through this whole folder to see all sorts of different Queen Elizabeth photographs. And you'll notice that they are encased in plastic also. And I'm also using my regular hand on this. I'm not wearing a glove. And that's okay because they're all encased in this plastic here. And so that's kind of how we keep everything organized. But I wanted to show you some different pictures. I want us to be the detectives. And I'm going to share my screen with you to look at some other photographs. So here's some questions that we need to answer today. What time period do you think these photographs are from? How old is this picture? Who do you think these people are? So basically we're asking the who, the what, the why, the when, the where. And the photo I want you to look at is this one. So we're gonna keep all those in mind of who and what and when and where and why. But let's take a look at this photograph. So you notice I didn't tell you anything about it. I just told you that we're gonna be looking at this photo and it looks like it's in black and white. And we also have some people in this photo. I wonder who those people could be. I wonder what time it is. I wonder what those things are on the wall. Do you recognize anybody in this photograph? I wonder why they're in this room. Looks like they have something to eat, though. Are you guys finding some clues? So we have a clock on the wall. Can you read what that says? Looks like it's 4:24. Do you think that's AM or PM? I'm thinking PM, in the afternoon. Because I got an inference of what the emotions are of the people in this photograph. Are they happy or sad or mad or surprised? Who do we have walking through the door? Have we seen that guy before? Is that Senator Bob Dole? Very good. So yeah, is he happy? Is he sad? Is he mad? It looks like he's happy or surprised, right? He's coming through the door. It's 4:24 AM or PM. That's right. You told me PM because, question, if it was 4:24 in the morning, do you think all those people would be as happy as they are? If it was 4:30 in the morning and they were all in this office, I don't think so. So I think it's in the afternoon, towards the end of the day. It looks like they're having some sort of get together. Because you see cake? Aha, cake. I want to be at this party. So we have cake. Looks like we have a bowl of nuts also on the table. What do you see on the walls? Do you see the state of Kansas seal on the far left? Yeah, you may see that on the Kansas state flag. We also have it on the front of our building here at the Dole Institute. Well, it looks like we have a picture on the wall. So you see next to that guy's beard, there's a picture of his father, Doran. And I bet behind that guy's face is a picture of his mom, Bina. And then we have Senator Dole in the middle there coming through the door. And then we have the 3 things on the bookshelf. Those look pretty interesting. And there's lots of people in this photograph. Although right now we can only identify the guy coming through the door, Senator Dole. But we have men and women in this photograph, which is pretty cool. And what decade do you think this was taken in? What era? What year? Kind of gives us a hint by looking at the black and white photo. But can you tell by their clothing maybe what decade it could be? Because do you think this picture was taken yesterday? Nah. By looking at their clothes, looks a little different from what we consider popular today. And the fact that it's a black and white photo, probably thinking that this photograph was taken in the late 60s or the early 70s. Because the men are in suits. The ladies in the photograph are in some in short skirts and sweaters and dresses. But just by the style of clothing, it looks like this picture was taken quite a long time ago. Maybe like 50 years ago. And we also talked about that, yes, there are women in this photograph, which is kind of cool because in the late 60s, early 70s, women didn't always work in congressional offices, especially in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. Has changed a lot over the years. But a lot of men work there. And now we're kind of seeing that even out more for men's and women's equal rights. But it's cool to think that Senator Dole employed not only men and women in his congressional office for a long time. Now, we also have a certain woman in this photograph. If you're a really close detective, do you see anything interesting on the bottom right? Looks like we have a pair of shoes connected to or sitting on top of a wheelchair. Aha! So even though we can't see her face, we can maybe make an inference that this is a woman's shoe, probably connected to a woman. And so another woman working in his office, but also possibly a woman that could have a disability. So remember, it's very important to Senator Dole to raise the rights of people with disabilities all over the United States. And we'll be talking about that in the coming weeks. So that culminated in the Americans with Disabilities Act in 1990. Well, we got lots of clues here. And you also told me about those statues standing on the bookshelf. So I wonder, can you identify any of those? Have you seen any of those people before? I know it's kind of a small picture, but I wonder if we have seen those anywhere else before. Now I'm going to switch you around. And look, here we are. Those are the same objects that are in the photo. Awesome. Can you recognize them now that we're close up? So this is President Abraham Lincoln. You may have heard of him before. And then I'll give you a hint. The one on the right is also Abraham Lincoln, standing next to a lady next to a tree. But the middle one might be a little harder. He's also a little smaller. We may not be able to see the detail as much. But that is also another president. And I'll give you another hint. Is the president from Kansas. That's pretty cool. Yes, this is President Dwight or Ike Eisenhower. And Eisenhower's presidential library is in Abilene, Kansas, which is about 2 hours west of Lawrence. And so Lincoln and President Eisenhower were Dole's political idols. He looked up to them, especially Eisenhower being from Kansas. And so we have the original objects, those same objects that were in this picture, we have in the archive. There it is. Now, another way of looking at photographs is to fill out a primary source analysis sheet that basically did the same thing that we just talked about of the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, and also gives us some options of what we think are important and what else was happening during this time period. And on the top, you can see that we can either mark the newspaper, the report, the letter, a speech, a photograph. So if we were to fill this out right now, we would check photograph and then fill out all those sections of why was this photo taken? Where was it? What was the occasion? Kind of thing. So now that we did one together, I also want you to look at some other photos here. So here's your first one. And I'll tell you, this was taken a long time ago. It looks like we got a Christmas tree in the background. What else can you infer from this picture? Be a detective. See what you can find out. Looks like we have 4 kids. I'll give you a hint. The boy in the middle reading a book is a young Bob Dole. So this is his family's Christmas, and this is taken about 1930. And Senator Dole was born in 1923, so he's about 7 years old in this picture. And of course, a black and white photograph all in front of the Christmas tree. So then around him are his brothers and sisters. Kenny is next to him in the middle. And then we have Gloria and Norma Jean, his sisters. So let's try another one. So this is Representative Dole at this time. This is during the 1960s. You can kind of tell by the clothing, and also it's a black and white photograph. And do you recognize the uniform of the little boy on the left? Have you ever seen that before? A Boy Scout. Very good. And then what's the thing in the middle that we have observed a lot? In between Senator Dole and the boy is the United States flag. And it looks like the boy is putting a pin on Senator Dole's suit jacket. And this picture was taken around 1966, I believe. Our next picture, is also in black and white. And what do you see in the middle? Well, you see the Capitol building. So we know that this picture was taken in Washington, D.C. But who is the person next to Senator Dole? He looks very tall. It looks like a clown. That is actually Coco the Clown. This picture is also from 1966. And you can see the Capitol Dome in the background. All right, we got another one for you. Woo. Looks like a wedding. Do we recognize those two people? Well, we have Senator Bob Dole in the suit. And then we also have Senator Elizabeth Dole in the wedding dress. This is Bob and Elizabeth's wedding day in 1975. And this is their wedding photograph. And we're going to be talking more about Senator Elizabeth Dole next week. Looks like we fast forward in time. This is about 1984, December of 1984. And who they got with them on the table? It's a dog. I bet that is Leader, the dog, their miniature schnauzer. And this is actually the day that Elizabeth Dole gave Bob Dole, Leader, the dog, on the day he became Majority Leader of the Senate. So this is November of 1984, actually. And Leader is pretty cute. And we're definitely going to be talking about Leader in a couple weeks. Here's another one. I've seen all those characters before. Maybe if you've seen the musical or a movie. And we recognize the guy on the far right. That is Senator Bob Dole. But who are all those characters? I see the Tin Man and Dorothy, the Lion, the Scarecrow. Aha, this must be the Wizard of Oz. And I'll give a hint that this picture was taken in the early 1980s. The little Kansas connections. Here's another one. Ooh, I bet we talked about this person when we were looking at that box over there. Now, this isn't Queen Elizabeth, but it's another name that we talked about. Especially if you practice the Catholic religion. This appears to be Pope John Paul II. And we see Senator Dole on the left giving an address to him. And this is from about 1985. So he's delivering a letter from President Reagan to Pope John Paul II. So he's reading it out loud. So some of these photographs, we may not have all the clues, but we can make some guesses. We can make some inferences. Aha, here's that picture that we saw in the box. So this is just a digitized photograph of that. And we have Senator Dole meeting Queen Elizabeth II when she came to the Washington, D.C. Capitol. And this is from the early 90s, 1991. This is one of my favorites. We got the milk mustache going. Do we recognize the person on the left? He's got a cool milk mustache. That is President Bill Clinton. This is actually an ad campaign for drinking milk. So this was presumably in a magazine or something. And another photo of Senator Dole on a late night talk show. So he's on TV right now. And that is David Letterman interviewing him for The Late Show. And this was saying about 1997. So after Senator Dole ran for president in 1996. All right. Well, I'm glad you guys were able to explore some different photographs that we have. And think about how you would organize your own photos. So we saw lots of Senator Dole's photos and how they're all organized in boxes and folders. And we titled those folders, and so we know exactly where everything is. Maybe they're by the date that they were created also. And we learned that we protect those photos by putting them in a plastic sheet so we can touch them with our regular hands and we won't damage them at all. And I want you to think about how you could organize the photos in your archive. Would you do it by year or activity? How are we going to organize all those cool photos that you guys are taking every day when you're doing some fun activities in the house or going outside to ride your bike? Maybe your parents are taking some pictures. It would be a good way to organize them and put them in an archive. So why don't you guys start right now organizing your toys, or maybe grouping your magazines, or grouping your books. I want you to start making your archive right now. And remember, by the time we graduate high school, you're going to have an awesome archive. We want to keep it all super organized. I bet your parents would really love if we organize your toy room too, right? We got to clean everything up, put it in the right spot. So that's exactly what we do here at the archive. And I'm just making sure all these boxes are okay during this weird time that we're in. All right, well, join us next week. We are going to be discussing Senator Dole's military career and also his injury. And then on Wednesday, we're going to be discussing Senator Elizabeth Dole and learning more about her, because she is an awesome lady too. All right, well, thanks for watching today, and we'll see you next week. Bye.